Hello everyone, today is the 16th of August 2023. This is the Cluster API office hour meetings. Before starting, a few general rules. So we have a meeting agenda document. I've posted the link to the meeting agenda document in the chat a few minutes ago. And if you don't have access to the document, you have to join the Cluster Lifecycle office hour Google group, and I've passed the instruction, the link to the Google group. Before starting, just a few call-outs. So we follow the CNCF code of conduct, so be good to each other, and we usually use the raise hand feature. If you want to speak, feel free to raise hand, and I will do my best to drive the discussion. Let's get started with today's agenda. First of all, at the beginning of our meeting, we welcome new attendee. So if it is the first time that you are attending this meeting, or you want to introduce yourself and say hello to everyone and why you are here, feel free to raise your hand, and I will wait for a few seconds to people to chime in. Livingston, SA Livingston, please speak up.
Yeah, hi. This is Livingston. So myself, Deepak and Janvi are joining for the first time. We are joining from the Flipkart team. Flipkart is an e-commerce platform in India. Some of you guys might be aware of it. And yeah, so quick introduction is just we also run K-Test, and we run large clusters, right? We run clusters of the size of around 3,000 nodes in a private data center, and we also have some presence in GKE. And we have we have written a cluster API provider for our internal private cloud, and we are slowly looking into productionizing it. We haven't productionized it yet, so we just thought we'll drop by and have some quick discussion with you guys. Thank you. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Livingston. Great to see new folks starting using Cluster API and writing new providers. Yeah, feel free to reach out to the community here or in the Slack channel. And looking forward from feedback from your team. Thank you for raising hands. Is there someone else that want to introduce themselves? Okay, let's keep moving. Livingston, do you still have the hand raised from before? I think. Thank you. So let's keep moving. Open proposal readout. We have an open proposal which is about changing control to manage Kubernetes. Someone knows if there are updates from this proposal? Cecile, go on, please.
I can't speak for the others on the proposal, but I know that Jack was the main person driving it, and he's been on leave for a month and a half. He's coming back in September, so I don't expect any movement until then.
Thank you. I was also in PTO in the last 2 weeks, so no update from my side. Okay, so let's keep moving. Discussion topic. Killian, you have the first one.
Sure. Thank you. Can you click through to this issue? This there. I think a lot of people might be familiar with this. It's been in the headlines. If you can click through to the CNCF issue as well, that's actually the most useful one. So number one, HashiCorp changed licenses on a number of its repositories. Mostly, they've only changed the licenses on their product repositories, as I understand it. They haven't changed the licenses on APIs or SDKs. The downside of this is that a lot of imports that people might have been using previously, or even using tools in their repos, are no longer allowed to be used under the CNCF rules or under the terms of the HashiCorp licenses. So I think this is important for people to look into in their own repos. But if you can go back to the cluster API issue. So most of the information is linked there at the top. Then what's down below here is the CAPI specific stuff. So we went through all of the dependencies that are from HashiCorp just to make sure the licenses had not changed. Particularly if you were a maintainer, reviewer, contributor for a repo that is under the Kubernetes SIGs org, you're bound by the CNCF's license policy. So I would advise you do this to make sure you're not importing anything. Kubernetes has been removing a lot of HashiCorp stuff that was previously vendored for a long time because the CNCF also doesn't automatically approve Mozilla public license, which is what a lot of the HashiCorp stuff's under. But without going into too much further detail here, definitely if you're under Kubernetes SIGs, this is something you should do from a community perspective. Even if you're not, you probably should look at the HashiCorp licenses and what you're importing to make sure you're still compliant with your own licenses. And then I think the step on from this is that we're trying to find a good solution for automatic license scanning on PRs in the Cluster API library or Cluster API repo. So if anybody's any experience with that, we have a kind of a work in progress PR using Trivy, but it probably doesn't have the granularity of policy that would allow us to comply fully with the CNCF. So if anybody has experience with what core Kubernetes is doing or other solutions for this, it would be great to get information, opinions, and if you can, chime in on the issue. Because yeah, it'd be good to get a GitHub action or a proud job that would work for pretty much everybody across the Cluster Lifecycle community.
I see none.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a clarification here. This is the business, the BSL that they're using, that is for versions going forward. Is that correct? The Mozilla public license is for existing versions. Is that understanding correct?
So the landscape here is complicated and I don't understand it fully, but basically, as I understand it, they haven't retroactively applied this license to anything, but they haven't moved everything to the business source license either. They've only moved their products to the business source license, is my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cecile says in chat that it's only new versions will get business source and existing stuff will be whatever it was before. So, yeah, but it sounds like that might not even comply with CNCF licensing requirements anyway. Okay, thank you.
Stefan?
I just want to add on to that. I think one thing is the business, the BSL license, but the other thing is that we probably should have looked at license a bit earlier and that we're already not compliant to what we actually should follow today. And if I saw it correctly, basically, so I saw somewhere in more like KK itself, Slack channels that are basically saying, oh, they worked like since a few years essentially to get rid of all this HashiCorp stuff because of the MPL. Yeah. So I think the ideal state of at least core cluster API is something like definitely get rid of all the HashiCorp licenses that we don't actually have to use. We had some sort of, let's call it optional dependencies that we already got rid of because it was just not necessary. And then what Killian was saying before, basically figure out how KK is scanning for this stuff. They also have a JSON file where they're essentially blocking certain dependencies, and that's, yeah, just basically trying to find an aligned way with the Kubernetes ecosystem to scan going forward and get rid of our current dependencies that are problematic. And I think maybe if we have something good and well aligned in core copy, it's just a matter of recommending to providers to pick up the same, and then they don't have to do a lot of additional work and they can just follow us.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for raising this topic. I think that what Killian and Stefan suggested is the best way to do. Let's rally in copy to get a job that help us to have a clear signal about this problem, and so other provider can reuse it eventually. And yeah, again, call for action if someone has knowledge about how Kubernetes is doing this, please reach out to Kilian or comment on issue 9181. Good. If there are no additional questions, we can move to Livingstone.
Hey, hi guys. Yeah, so I just wanted to, and I saw this GitHub issue where there was some discussion going on about the HCD backup and restore feature. And I just wanted to check with you guys if there's any active work going on this, or if is it open for picking up where we can write up a doc and submit it for review. Because the last comment here said that you guys are looking for proposal for this, right? We just follow whatever is there in the contributing guide for creating a new proposal. Would that work?
So, as far as I'm aware, I'm trying to skim through the issue.
Sure.
It seems that yeah, we still need to write a proposal with for addressing this topic. I think that there are some interesting comments. One is this one from Alberto, which is basically suggesting that we do something that is not coupled with kubeadmin control plane, or at least composable. So maybe we can use the same from AKS or GKE if they allow access to etcd.
Okay, so but by default, currently we have only two control plane providers, right? One is the kubeadm control plane, and another one is the microKTS control plane provider, right? And I think microKTS is generally for local deployment, so I don't think backup or restore would be applicable for microKTS. Is my understanding correct, or does backup and restore have to work for microKTS as well, or does it have to be generic for every control plane provider?
So, like Stefan is writing, these two providers are the only two that are listed in the book.
Okay.
But there are others. And for instance, if I'm not wrong, when we do manage Kubernetes with AWS, they come with their own control plane provider, which is Azure Manager, and these apply to most of the managed Kubernetes offering. So yeah, there are not only the ones that are listed, and probably there are also other control plane providers which are developed internally by companies, like you developed your internal infrastructure provider. So these are good suggestion. Let me say,
sure.
This is a good suggestion to know for making a generic proposal. It adds a little bit of complexity, but worth to think about it. With regards to how to do a proposal, usually we follow this process. So someone starts a Google Doc, and we try to rally on a Google Doc because doing comment and changing stuff is faster than on a PR. When there is a agreement on a small set of folks, then the PR, the Google Doc is moved to a PR. But doing the Google Doc is not mandatory; it's an optional step. This is up to you, according how do you prefer to work. Cecile, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I just want to point out that this issue is currently assigned to someone. So I don't know if you're working with them or not, but if not, I would suggest reaching out to them to see where they're at with this. Because like there hasn't been any movement in a while, so it's fair to assume maybe they've not worked on it and they're not working on it anymore. But it might be good to like not start from scratch if they've already, started some of the work.
Yeah, great.
Sure. Sure. I'll probably add a comment on this ticket, or is there any other way of reaching out to that person? DM or something?
If the name of the person is, if the Slack handle for this person is the same, yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't know if it's, it is I don't know. Slack.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll just check in the Slack channel. If somebody
Mm.
with the same name exists, I'll probably ping. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for taking a stab at this work. Next up, Jonathan.
Yeah, I just wanted to share. I released v1.2.0 of the cluster API visualizer. The main change is that I updated the CAPI dependency to 1.5. So this allows us to include machine pool machines.
Cool. Very, very good. Thank you for this update. Some question for Jonathan? Okay, no question. Cecile.
Hi, just wanted to bring some visibility to this in case anyone hasn't seen the PR, but so essentially we've been talking about this for a while, like a way to have the release team be able to create tags without having to ask the maintainers to do it every time there's a release. So this PR adds some automation for creating release branches and pushing release tags, which are the two things right now that two of the things that the maintainers need to do manually locally in order for releases to happen. It's gotten a lot of reviews. I think it's at a point where it's ready to merge, and we're essentially waiting for, I think Stefan already looked at it, Vince started looking at it. I was hoping for one more approver to LGTM just so we can move forward. But yeah, so release team, if you haven't taken a look, please check it out. And we'll get to try this out in the upcoming first 1.6 release, I guess. But yeah, just wanted to call attention to this.
This is great. Thank you. I see, Kilian, that he will take a look at the PR. Try to take a look at the PR tomorrow. I put this up in my list as well. Stefan is pointing out that the next release is in 2 weeks, and let's try to get it. The next package release in 2 weeks. So let's try to get it merged by the patch release. Cecile?
Yeah, thanks. And I will also try to prioritize being on the call for the next patch release so that I can be around if anything goes wrong.
That will be great. Thank you very much for helping us moving forward with release automation, making the release team more. Stefan, what do you mean with if we can try it there?
Just what you said, that we can try it with the next patch release in 2 weeks.
Okay, great. So great to see progress in our release automation. Next up, for Kat.
Yeah, hey folks. If you could please click on the issue. Just give a context. So this is an improvement task for v1.6 release cycle. This is a big umbrella issue that we started with v1.4 release and then v1.5, and then it has been moving from old release cycles to the current team. So basically, we were thinking, and I got the idea from Kilian that it might be good if we could involve folks from the previous release team, current release team, and whoever is interested, and set up a call to triage this umbrella issue and kind of prioritize it, which items are have a higher priority, and that could be, in that way we could just assign them accordingly and yield better benefits at the end. So if there are no objections, if folks are interested, I'll be sending a doodle link for times to set up a time for a call. And because there were some issues that we were discussing, and it seems that the context is being lost since that subtask was created to release back, and currently some issues are getting closed saying we don't want that, or will not do, or canceled. So just want to prevent that not all of them will be closed, hopefully, and we can kind of prioritize it better and get this list a bit organized.
First of all, thank you. I think that it is a great idea to leverage on expertise of the previous release leads and CI leads, Docker leads. So let's try to +1 for me to have this call. I think the most important people that should be in this call are those folks. But yeah, also maintainers. I think that will be good if we can get there and give some suggestions. A really nice idea to make this happen, and make also passing knowledge down the line even more easy and more complete. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks. I'll send out the link for the meeting times then. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to you, and probably this also answer to Cecile. So we have to send out a doodle for this, so it's not yet planned. Okay, let's keep going. So we are now down to provider updates, and the first one is from Stefan for CapV.
Yeah, just a quick update that we released CapV 1.8 based on CapV 1.5. Yep. That's it basically. Otherwise, maybe short update. We're currently working on supporting Kubernetes 1.28 basically roughly in lockstep with core CapV. So if everything goes well, we have like test coverage and stuff for it. Will be mostly just down to having test coverage. I think probably nothing really breaking. But yeah, I would hope that maybe in a week or something, we can support Kubernetes 1.28 in CapV and CapV. Should have mentioned that above, but I forgot.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone that is working to add support for Kubernetes release. This work that is not always visible, but is crucial for Cluster API. So thank you for this team, but other folks that jumps in and help in making this happen. And yeah, this is also a good call out that 1.28 just has been released yesterday or a few days ago. Okay, Stefan?
Sorry, another quick follow-up related to that.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat related, there's also work going on controller tools and controller runtime to get the corresponding releases out to Kubernetes 1.28. I mean, it will take some time to pick that up in Cluster API, etc. I mean, in core Cluster API, not so long, but probably in providers because they first have to bump to core Cluster API, etc., etc. I'm not sure how long it will take to get controller runtime out, but controller tools, I'll probably release it tomorrow. And controller runtime, I'm hopeful maybe within the next 1 or 2 weeks, but I have to see if there is some release blocking stuff with other maintainers together. But yeah, just sharing.
Yeah, thank you. This is another work that is super important, keeping controller runtime, controller tools up to date with Kubernetes. If folks are interested in helping this work, reach out to Stefan or write in the Slack channel. Okay, CapZ, Matt.
Thanks, Fabrizio. We just have a couple patch releases with bug fixes, and then our relatively long saga vendoring in CapV 1.50 has come to a conclusion. It's in main, and it will be in our next minor release. That's all.
Thank you very much. And let's move to Joe for Capo CI.
Yep, just a real quick call out. Our latest minor release has support for 1.5 as well as machine pool machines and things like that. So, but thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and great to see providers to keep up with 1.5. And we are at the end of our agenda. So if there are no last minute topics, I agree with Matt. Congrats to everyone which is keeping up with the machine pool machine work, which is yeah, a big work going on in Capi now. Stefan?
Or maybe a somewhat related heads up and also kudos. So Willy is currently working on implementing machine pool support for cluster class, making really good progress. I mean, we think still have some details to figure out, but I think it will end relatively soon in core Capi. So there's like another wave of people, let's say, enabling infra providers to pick up more machine pool support in addition to machine pool machines. I think we'll probably come down to mostly implementing infra machine pool templates or something like that. But I mean, there's still time. Just FYI.
Yeah, thank you. Good call out and kudos to Willy. I read the PR and it was really nice and really good work going on there. Okay. Yeah, this is a good call. So the next step is get a machine pool out of experiment. I will it down. I think that we have to drop experiment entirely and just to simplify our model and have only feature gates and API graduation. And yeah, probably I will write something as soon as I have some spare time. Okay, if there are no other topics, last minute topics, we can get some time back today. Let's call it 1, 2, 3. Thank you everyone for attending. Have a nice rest of the week.